So are you ready to totally level up your English? We're going deep today. Deep into a place I think we all know and love. The coffee shop.
Sounds good to me.
You know that feeling, right? Walking into a coffee shop, you smell those amazing coffee beans, everybody's chatting, and you need that caffeine boost.
Yeah.
But then you realize you have to order it in English.
Right.
I bet you some of our listeners are feeling a little bit nervous just thinking about that.
I bet they are, yeah.
Ordering in another language, I know it can be, a little intimidating. But that's why we're doing this deep dive, to give you the confidence to walk right up to that counter and order your drink. Like you own the place.
That's right. And it's funny because a lot of people focus so much on learning all the right words, which of course is important.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to communicating in another language, especially when you're, face to face with someone. Like your tone of voice, how you're standing, even your facial expressions. All of that plays a role.
You're so right. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I thought I was saying all the right words. But my tone was just totally off. Like maybe I sounded too serious or something. And it's like nobody understands what I'm trying to say. It's the worst. It's kind of like trying to tell a joke in another language and nobody laughs.
I think we've all been there.
Oh, yeah. But that's what's so great about the source we're diving into today.
Absolutely.
It's not just some boring list of vocabulary words. It's a podcast called English in Real Life. And they have this really cool episode where they simulate a real coffee shop interaction.
I like that. A simulated coffee shop interaction.
Yeah, it's like we're getting a little language immersion experience right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
Perfect for our deep dive.
Yeah.
So tell me more about this scenario. What are we walking into?
So picture this. You're in this super busy coffee shop and you're dying for a coffee. Okay.
I'm there.
And this podcast snippet, it gives us the perfect example of how to order. They even have a section on common vocabulary and expressions, which is super helpful.
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
All right. So the scene starts with the barista greeting the customer, right? And she says, "Hi. Welcome to Coffee Corner. What can I get for you today?" Super classic opening. You'll hear that in pretty much any coffee shop you go to.
Yeah, totally. And it's so interesting how just changing a few words can make a big difference.
Right, yeah.
What can I get for you?
Yeah.
Just sounds so much more welcoming and friendly than what do you want?
Exactly. What do you want? It sounds kind of aggressive, right?
Yeah, a little bit, like I'm in trouble or something.
But what can I get for you today? That sets a much friendlier tone from the get-go.
I like it.
And in this scenario, the customer, her name is Sarah. She keeps it nice and simple. She says, "Hi, I'd like a cappuccino, please."
I mean, that's easy enough.
Right?
But what if you want something that's not on the menu? Like, let's say I'm one of those people who has to have oat milk in their cappuccino. Do I just blurt that out? Or is there a smoother way to ask?
I mean, most coffee shops these days are pretty used to people wanting to customize their drinks.
Oh, good.
So don't be afraid to ask. You can say something like, "Is it possible to get this with oat milk?" Or even just, "Do you offer any non-dairy milk alternatives?"
Okay, cool. See, that makes me feel a lot better.
Good.
Because sometimes I get so nervous about sounding awkward or confusing the barista.
I totally get that. But trust me, most baristas, they've heard it all. They just want to make sure you get the drink you're looking for.
That's true.
So back to the dialogue. Sarah orders her cappuccino, and the barista asks, "What size would you like? Small, medium, or large?"
Okay, that makes sense. And I guess that's also where you could, throw in any other preferences you have.
Like if you wanted it iced or decaf.
Right, exactly.
And Sarah in the podcast, she keeps it simple. She just says, "Medium, please." But you could totally say, "Could I get a large iced latte decaf?" Whatever you're feeling.
So many options. I'm already starting to feel more confident about building my perfect coffee order.
Yeah.
In English, of course.
And that's what we like to hear. All right, so what happens next? The barista asks, "Would you like it with regular milk or oat milk?"
I like how they specifically mention oat milk.
Yeah.
Seems like it's the go-to non-dairy option these days.
It is really popular right now, and I think it's great that the barista presents it as a simple choice.
Yeah.
Regular milk or oat milk.
Yeah.
It can be really helpful when you're feeling overwhelmed, You don't have to think of every single possibility yourself because they're kind of guiding you through it.
Yeah, that's true. Because sometimes I get so overwhelmed with all the choices, it's like I just freeze up.
I know exactly what you mean. Okay, so Sarah goes with regular milk, and then the barista asks, "All right, anything else?"
Oh, yeah. Here comes the upsell. Pastry, muffin, another drink.
Exactly. But something, anything else is such a useful phrase in so many situations.
It really is.
Like, you could be at the grocery store, at a restaurant, shopping online. It's a great way to make sure you've got everything you need.
It's like a magic phrase.
I like that, a magic phrase. And that's one of the things that the podcast highlights.
Okay.
They have this vocabulary and expressions section, and they really emphasize how mastering these simple phrases can unlock your ability to communicate in all sorts of settings.
Because they are pretty basic phrases.
They are, but they're like the building blocks of conversation,
True.
Once you've got those down, you can start to build from there. And another thing they encourage listeners to do
What's that?
is to practice these phrases out loud. I know it might feel a little silly at first,
Yeah.
but repetition is key.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But sometimes I get a little bored just repeating the same phrases over and over again.
Oh, sure.
Do you have any tips for making practice a little more fun?
Yeah, absolutely. You could try incorporating them into real-life situations as much as possible.
Okay.
Like, practice ordering different kinds of coffee at home. Or even role play with a friend, like pretend you're the barista and they're the customer.
Oh, that's fun.
Or vice versa. And another great way is to watch movies or TV shows in English.
Yeah.
Pay attention to how native speakers use these phrases, in different contexts.
Okay, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like the way I learn phrases is not how people actually use them.
Exactly. And the more you expose yourself to real English, the better you'll get at using it naturally.
Hey, you've officially inspired me to step up my practice game.
All right. Now, are you ready for a challenge?
Ooh, I love a good challenge. Hit me.
Well, speaking of stepping up your game, the podcast has this challenge for its listeners.
Okay.
And they want you to put your newfound knowledge to the test at your next coffee run.
That's a good challenge. But what if I just completely freeze up and forget everything I've learned?
It's okay. Just take a deep breath, speak slowly, and don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you need it.
Okay.
You could say something like, "Can you repeat that, please? Or could you speak a little slower?"
Yeah, that's good advice. Sometimes I forget that it's okay to ask for help.
It really is okay. Most people are happy to help, especially if they can see you're making an effort.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of ordering a coffee. But you know what I think is really tough? Really challenging?
What's that?
Trying to describe the actual coffee.
Oh, yeah.
How do you explain the flavors and aromas in English?
That's a great point. And that's where things can get a little more, advanced. But it's definitely doable. Start by thinking about words like smooth, bold, nutty, chocolatey.
Ooh, I like chocolatey.
Me too. Or even fruity.
Fruity. Okay.
You can also use terms like light roast or dark roast to talk about the intensity of the coffee.
I feel like I need to have a thesaurus with me every time I order coffee.
Yeah. There are so many different ways to describe coffee. It's a whole language in itself.
It really is. Okay, so I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
We have.
It's time for them to take that next step and really dive deep into coffee shop English.
That's right. You got this.
We explored everything from basic ordering phrases to describing your perfect cup. So the next time you find yourself in a coffee shop, remember what we talked about today. Take a deep breath and order that coffee with confidence. You've got this.
You really do.
All right, that's it for our deep dive today. But make sure you come back for more, because we're going to keep bringing you these deep dives on all sorts of interesting topics so you can keep leveling up your English.
See you next time.
Bye.